So now we have the frame and we have cut all the keys that we need to begin tuning the marimba. So nothing is inserted yet, all the keys are loose, and the keys are simply the pieces of wood cut to the right size, and I'm going to show you now how to cut the keys to get the right tuning for the marimba. So we're going to take all the keys off. So this marimba we're going to tune to a pentatonic scale, so I'm going to mark that G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D. So for each bar I have made a mark at the top. It's the note D. It's 24 centimeters long, and I divide 24 by 4. So 24 divided by 4 will give me 6. So that gives me my block divided into 25% marks. And so I've set my gauge to 6 millimeters, and I'm going to measure 6 millimeters from the end and draw my mark there. 6 millimeters from the other, 6 centimeters from the other end, and draw my mark there. So I need those 2 marks, and those are the 2 marks that I'm going to cut on my table saw. So we've marked our marks on the 25% marks, and these 2 sections are going to come out. So firstly we're going to tilt the blade so that it tilts at a angle. Beginning with the bottom, the highest note. So we're going to start with the D, and we're going to cut it on the marks. We're going to do this first, this note first, because we want to know that we can achieve the note of D and see how much wood to cut out of here. Once we know how much wood to cut out of the first note, we can have a pretty good template for the following notes. So there we end up with the note cut basically to the shape that we want it. So I've cut out the V in all of them now, and now we're going to change the blade to a chipper to take out the rest. So now I'm back at the wood bench, having cut the bulk of the wood out. We're going to test each key for the note. Unfortunately, I can't video it and show you the app because it's all on the phone. So I'm going to test each one to check the notes of all of them. So they all got a nice sound. There's no flat sounding ones. So I think we've got a good marimba here, but we need to do some work on the tuning. So the next step is to fine tune the keys to about 10 cents so that we can work further with them. Okay, so we have the key cut with the table saw, with the basic cuts, and now we're going to have to round these cuts on the sander. So to tune the note, if we want the note to become flatter, we're going to take a little bit more wood out of the central part. If we want the note to become sharper, we're going to take a little bit of wood off of the ends. So we can manipulate these keys to a certain extent, but we want to try and keep the keys without having to take everything off the end. So if we can get the note perfect just by taking out of the center and leave it at that, it gives us the ability to tune the notes further at a later stage and tune the second node. So I'm using a nice belt sander, so I can take out a little bit more wood and make the curve more curvy. So it's going to need a bit more. So now we have all the keys cut to the basic tuning. I've cut all of the keys to a sharp of what they're supposed to be. And then what we are going to do now is find the nodes. And I have two different ways to find the nodes. Firstly, we're going to simply measure a percentage. So we put all the keys out. Your nodes generally will go, I have found with these keys, which are rosewood, between 20 and 21% from the end of the key. I find that 20% is a better measurement. So we'll measure the key being 32 centimeters long, multiplied by 20%. It gives us 6.4. So on this note, my measurement is 6.4 from the end. I'll put it there. And secondly, we want to make another mark 1 centimeter from the top of the key. There and there. Now that is where we are going to drill our node holes, but before we do that, we're going to do another check with the nodes. So firstly, we will find two little pieces of sponge, just something that I've cut out of the sink there. Pop those down, and we'll put our key onto those pieces of sponge. We take a little bit of sawdust and sprinkle a little bit around where the node will be, and sprinkle a little bit around there. And then we'll just take a mallet and hit the key. Just keep hitting the key sharply. I can bring the pan a bit closer for this. See if we do it again. So I can mark off that my node is there and there in the center of the key. And I'll throw that off. I'm going to have my two marks where the node should be. Now I will do that on every single key. So now we have drawn a line. We have our marks. These are the marks that were made with the sawdust. And then I have drawn another mark for the 20% line over here. So you're never going to get it perfect, but you want that piece of rope to be able to go perfectly straight through all the keys. That's the most important thing. Secondly, it must be pretty close to the node. If it's a little bit off like that, that's okay. Generally, we've got them all pretty close, and on this side as well, all pretty close. And we've lined the keys up nice and straight, so that's how they're going to go on them. Remember, we've drawn the line, and that is where we are going to draw our node holes. We need to turn each key and mark each key over here, so that we know exactly where the hole needs to be drilled. And the node holes marked, and now we are going to take them to the drill press and drill the node holes. So that gives me all the node holes drilled, and I can check they're all in the right place. Turn it around, all nice and even. So now, having finished drilling I've drilled the little countersinkers into the sides of the keys. They're ready to be put onto the frame. So yeah, the marimba is now together. All the keys on the thing. And we'll test the notes out. Pretty good. So tuning good. All the keys are sounding good. And we are ready to take it to the next step and do some of the finishing. The next step is we'll take some emery board, or some nice emery paper, yeah, sandpaper, a very fine one. And we can just sand the key down, smooth the edges. And now we're ready for its first coat of varnish. Now we have to do all of those and then we'll varnish them. I really like to use the Woodok 5. It really seals the keys nicely.